tutti quanti connessi. Adesso cambiamo lingua, diventiamo international ancora una volta e perciò cominceremo a parlare in inglese. Let's talk in English, guys. Yes, okay, we have already some ready.
Ciao Soham, welcome to Italy.
Ciao, ciao, ciao. Buonasera. I haven't spoken Italian in a couple of years now. Spent a summer in Italy a couple of years ago. It was a lot of fun.
Great.
Of course.
Yeah.
He's passionate about wine also.
Oh, okay.
We might have got some wine. But let's introduce Soham to everyone now. So Soham, well, he has a really diverse, I would say, background because he is a cancer and immunology PhD. So we say dottorato in Italian, exactly. But now is mainly focusing a lot on climate change and related issues. And this should actually put in our mind the idea that health is super linked with climate change and the related issues.
And nature and biodiversity.
Exactly. And if we don't take care of nature, nature will not take care of us.
Exactly.
To take what previously have been said. So this is why we invited exactly Soham today. And he does a lot of things in his life, and one of them is actually fighting food waste as well. So he's really passionate on what he does, and that's why I really want him to talk about what he wants to tell us. And his title is Food Waste, a Threat to Biodiversity.
So Soham, please inspire us. I would like to ask you if you can speak slowly for our Italian people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. And enjoy this time, and thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Grazie mille, Mattia and Joya. It was a very, very kind and welcoming thing. I'll try to share my screen. 1 second.
Yes.
Yeah, do you see it? I'll just make it.
Yeah, it's coming. Yes, we can see.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
stage is yours.
Yeah. Let me try to get it full screen. Great. For everybody, hi, my name is Soham. Feel free to ask me questions or just write in the chat, and then Joya or Mattia can ask me for you. As Joya said, my background is in medicine and medical research, but I from a PhD, I remember I wanted to work with climate change, with global health, with a lot of health and biodiversity, health and food waste, health and climate change kind of things. So yeah, as she said, this is a bit about me. Ciao. I have a degree in medicine, and I have always worked with medical stuff. And then during my PhD, I wanted to correlate climate change and biodiversity and a lot of the things like that, because they're very closely related to health. And yes, these are a few organizations that I think Joya mentioned some of them. And yeah, I run Food Saving Lund. And before we go into what I do and how we worked around it, I'll give you a little bit of an insight into why food waste is such a big problem for biodiversity. So let this number sink in. As you can see, I'm trying to get this away. Yeah. So that is the amount of kilograms of food. This is 1.3 billion tons of food that we waste every year around the world. And it creates massive problems. Like you see, it's a very simple example here, but it's around the world, and there's desertification, there's way more bigger problems due to food waste. If food waste was its own country, and we put all the countries together when it comes to greenhouse gas emissions, then it would literally be the third biggest polluter of greenhouse gases around the world after just China and the US. And I think these numbers have increased now because these numbers are from a few years ago. I think it's in 2015. And then because I haven't done a lot of like research about Italy, I really wanted to like see what's happening in Italy and how different it is from other parts of Europe and the world. I'm based in Sweden at the moment, but in Italy, around 13 billion euros are lost every year due to food waste or damages due to food waste. In Italy, 1/3 of the total production of food. I know a lot of it is not household waste, like, you know, it says 149 kg of food wasted per person. But yeah, I think household waste in Italy is around 88 kilograms, which is still a huge number. And this is very close to the average in Europe. I know I'm in Sweden. We are way worse when it comes to food waste. And Sweden's numbers are even worse than Italy. But I just wanted to give a more local approach to the bigger problem. So I put these 3 countries in here because, you know, there's probably 3 of the biggest countries there are in the world. And if you put all the arable land, all the agricultural land in these 3 countries together, the food waste that we do globally is more than that. So these numbers are absolutely massive. At the moment, around 28% of all the land around the world are in agriculture, but the food waste accounts for around 1/3 of the entire arable land. And as we go forward, you can see that a lot of this land down the line will not be able to be productive. So agriculture in these lands would not be productive. And at the moment, we lose around 100,000 kilometers square per year. And, you know, when I was like, you know, deciding what to talk about today, and I just wanted to see like Italy's total area. So Italy comes down around 300,001 kilometers square, something like that. So this is literally 1/3 of Italy, and that's why I wanted to show you, know, just in the map. And it's almost 1/3 of Italy. Just imagine the amount of arable land that we're losing due to food waste and due to unsustainable agricultural practices, due to overconsumption or you know, not responsible consumption, and of course a lot due to logistics and the economical benefits. You know, like countries like Netherlands and Sweden, and a lot of other countries in Europe, Belgium, they produce way more than they need, and that is becoming a major problem. So where does all this food waste go? You know, I mean, we throw the food that we don't want, and it goes to a garbage, and this garbage then is taken away into landfills or oceans, which are creating environmental challenges and major land degradation, pollution in the oceans, and a lot of other things. And this vicious cycle just keeps going around and around. Now, what are the relations to biodiversity? Why do we want to talk about biodiversity when it comes to food waste? Well, a lot of this food is produced by unsustainable agricultural practices. So what's happening is a lot of the land use has been changing over the years. And then agriculture, just for agriculture, we need more land. And that's why we cut down forests. And then we are moving into the wildlife habitats and then disturbing the balance. The same thing with oceans. I recently watched a documentary. I think I definitely recommend, especially all of you who are in this world doing research or studying these things. It's called Seaspiracy. I know some of the numbers are not 100% correct, but it really opens your eye into how we are abusing the marine life around us. And unsustainable fishing practices has caused major problems. When it comes to land, around 2 billion hectares of previously productive land that was productive till a few decades ago has been completely degraded now and is not fit for a lot of different kinds of agriculture at the moment. So what are the things that food waste specifically is responsible for? Well, one is responsible for disrupting the diet, you know, not just for us, but just for all the fauna around us. And the predator-prey relationships, you know, places like Philippines, a lot of places in the US, a lot of places in Southeast Asia, even in Europe, you know. I mean, every time you take a flight over Europe, I'm not promoting flying, but you just find most of Europe, especially Central Europe, is just farmlands, or Western Europe is just farmlands. And what's happening is there a lot of the traditional predator-prey relationships have been destroyed. Their reproduction patterns have been destroyed because some of them have availability to much easier food than they were used to, or a different kind of food, or a lot of them are just not mating because of the dietary intake, and absolutely loss of natural habitat. I mean, a very good example in Europe would be wolves. A lot of countries have had to had no wolves, and that's why they have to go and hunt deers because there's way too many of them now. And that's becoming a problem, and it's across the ecosystems. Just to show you an example. So what happens is, food waste directly causes climate change because forests are cut down to either use them for landfills or just to grow and have more agricultural land. And then these landfills, they produce a gas called methane, which causes global warming. All this decaying food from food waste, they attract the wildlife, and they're very harmful for not just animals, but also, as I said, they cause problems in their genes, the reproductory and the dietary patterns. And intensive agriculture, a very good example for that would be the Baltic Sea. You would see the Baltic Sea and the North Sea are very, very polluted because there's a lot of eutrophication. There's a lot of algal bloom because intensive agriculture causes a lot of nitrogen and phosphorus being flown into the oceans, which are causing algal blooms. And then there are dead zones in the sea because of eutrophication. And then, very good examples, during the lockdown, during COVID-19, we saw we had like bears and wolves and whatnot come down to towns and cities because, the litter, they attract scavengers, and they're attracting larger mammals because their relationship with humans are becoming very blurry, and their food chains have been disrupted because, wolves are not supposed to eat processed food, and bears are not supposed to eat McDonald's and things like that. And then it's creating a ripple effect. So you would see in a lot of places, there's a stark increase of a certain species, and then other species around it are suffering because of that, or a decrease, which causes the opposite effect. And then some other species of animals that depend on them die out because of that. The next bit, I didn't want to I can name the animals, there's like bison and turtles and then dolphin. The thing is, a lot of these animals, I put them here because I just wanted to show that it's happening across the system. It's not just mammals or reptiles or fishes. It's just all kinds of animals are either going extinct or have lost their habitat or on the verge of extinction. And I recently read up some data. Around 70% of all natural ecosystems have been transformed, and primarily for food. Yes, of course, there's fiber and textiles and fuel as well, but mostly for food. And by 2050, this could be as much as 90%, and these numbers are global. But there is still light at the end of the tunnel, which we will go to now. Why is biodiversity a problem? Because sometimes people ask, yeah, there is loss of biodiversity, but how is it going to affect as well? From medicine point of view, direct health impacts, there's going to be more of not just COVID-19, but more zoonotic viruses like that, more diseases, more infectious diseases. The ecosystems will become dysfunctional. So, we all, in nature, everything works in harmony, right? And once there is imbalance, it causes huge amounts of problems in the entire chain, and then regions will become inadequate for sustaining life. So, that's why we'll have like climate migration. We'll have like climate migrants moving from areas to another, like, a lot of places in the Middle East at the moment, Southern Europe in 20 years time, Sub-Saharan Africa at the moment are not fit for life anymore. And that's becoming a big worry. And then eventually it's going to lead to lack of resources. Fresh water is a big problem, food, fiber even, and nutritional problems, because we depend on nature for a lot of things, like medicines and herbs and natural cures. And we will be losing that. And also a lot of genetic mutations will cause more problems later on. Now, how can we change all of this? How can we make a difference? Well, there are different approaches. Definitely the consumers have a major role to play. You know, responsible consumption, activism, you know, going out there, creating more awareness. NGOs like the one I started and talked about it soon, to raise awareness, you know, to bring this grassroots level changes, you know. I mean, there's a reason why I put governments at the end, because, you know, staying in Europe, we all can believe that most of our governments don't do anything. They wait till the last minute. And that's been the pattern for, like, I don't know, centuries probably. Uh, but yes, we will need them as well. But before that, like researchers, if researchers could take their research or the work they're doing, not just in the lab or publish a paper, but also like communicate it to a wider audience, reach out to them, use them to apply. Farmers definitely, but they also depend on a lot on the financial institutions, because they would need, like, you know, low interest loans, also some incentives like financial aid for the environmentally friendly farmers, so that they can, you know, by their own, promote biological diversity in agriculture practices, have just more sustainable agriculture. And then governments, you know, the concept of degrowth, like for a country like Norway, does it really need to develop any more that it has not? Probably no, but then they would, because for economic benefits. A country like Qatar, do they still need to develop anything more? When it comes to like infrastructure or production, the answer is probably no. And then policy making, you know, the policy making has to be more inclusive, because at the moment it does not take into account a lot of different sectors. And the most important thing is educational activities. So we need to tell people, we need to raise awareness to the harmful effects of food waste, because it is not just an economical problem anymore. It is a huge social and environmental issue at the moment. And now, a little bit about what are the most common foods wasted, you know, because that was one of our ideas behind what the work we are doing in Sweden at the moment, and I'll share it with you. So bread, 240 million slices of bread. If you see that number just for Sweden, it's very, very high still. Milk, 5.9 million glasses of milk. These are absolutely unreal numbers when I think about it. Potatoes, cheese, apples. So, you know, I just wanted to put this in here so that, you know, say in Italy, I mean, it would be the same things that do get wasted a lot, like maybe approximately in that order. So the next time something like that is going to be wasted, you know, the onus is on us, the youth, you know, people like you, people like me, people like us, who want to be working towards creating a difference in this planet. Because, you know, our policymakers, they are 50, 60, 70 years old. The planet they will leave behind is going to be for us and our next generations. And if we let them do what they're doing, the future is not very bright, right? And a little bit about this organization I was telling you about, Food Saving Loan. So I was one of those people who got it rolling. So we just a bunch of volunteers who fight against food waste. So what we do is we don't let the food end up in the bins, or we don't let the food just go to waste. We collaborate with all these bakeries and conference halls and restaurants and a lot of supermarkets, fresh food stores, so that we can collect them before they're thrown away. So we do regular pickups in these places, and then we store them in food banks. So we started with one, now we have 4 food banks. And because I personally, and then some of us, we wanted to develop a sense of community around this. So we have a lot of social events, like, of course, with Corona, it's a big challenge, but then, you know, in Sweden, you can still meet people. So it's not as difficult as it is in some other places. And then we have like workshops, webinars, seminars, documentary screenings. We take part in a lot of like little conferences, potlucks, a lot of places where we do like creative cooking or creative baking together. So, you know, people, you can spread the word among a higher percentage of people, and not just be just students. So a lot of residents, a lot of locals, and people like that. And then we also give away the food to a lot of people who need it, like refugees or homeless people and people who are in need of food, because it's very expensive here as well. And there's still a fair amount of like unemployment and poverty and things like that in Sweden. So this is where we are based. You can see we are based in the south of Sweden. These are some of the bread we saved in last week, some of the vegetables. These are very recent pictures. If you want to know a little bit about how we started and what we did, you can read. You can check this link out. It was in this podcast, and I talked about a lot of what our challenges were, how we started, what we wanted to reach, and how to make it one of the most inclusive yet diverse organizations in this region. This is a picture of one of our events where we collaborated with the local food markets and the local farmer initiatives. And I think something like this has now come up in a lot of places, and I'm probably sure in Italy as well. And this is something, I don't think this will solve the entire problem, but it's one of those little things that, you know, if all of us could start something like this in our cities, it could address the problem a lot. Because in just 1 year, we saved around 12,000 kilos of food. I know the total number is 1.3 billion, but we have to be dreamers, and maybe someday all of us could come together. We could make a substantial, significant difference. Next bit, okay, sorry. I went too fast. Okay. Yeah. So this is the current board of Food Saving Loan. This is a podcast that I started. So if you guys want to go and check out, the first few episodes are based on food waste. So that is something we can you can really check out. It's based in Belgium. The first episode is the one storytelling. If you have any questions for me, I'm very happy to answer them. And there's my email. I put my LinkedIn in there as well. And this is the link to the podcast. But yeah, so that we can have a very like interactive session and we can like have a dialogue now. Let me know what you think.
Tack. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I tried.
Thank you, Soham, for this important and inspiring talk.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to ask you if you are available for further details or information if needed.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Very available. Yeah. If somebody wants any of the links, I can share the screen again. Just let me know.
You can send us the PowerPoint, and we will share the PowerPoint with our teams.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No worries at all.
In the meantime, nel frattempo, se i ragazzi collegati, if guys connected here want to ask something, or se qualcuno da casa vuole fare domande sulla presentazione di Soham, anche in italiano, traduciamo noi. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry, Soham, I tried.
No, I understood that, yeah, because I understand some Italian words like domande, you know, so, you know.
Yeah, awesome.
Ferrate le domande. Yeah.
In the meantime, if we have some curiosity, Joy, you have something?
Yeah, no, we were discussing with Mattia that we usually talk about, okay, food waste is loss of money, is an ethical issue for us humans, but we actually never think that if we take food out for other people, we also remove food for animals, for what is around us, and this is again something we should remember, and this is why this festival is in place, to actually emphasize this as well.
Exactly. Just to pointing this out for Italian people, un concetto molto importante che Soham ci ha portato stasera è appunto che spesso siamo abituati a pensare lo spreco alimentare come magari uno spreco economico da parte nostra in casa, ma è anche una questione di togliere degli alimenti dalla comunità, quindi qualcuno rimane senza cibo, qualcuno muore di fame, ma è anche questione che noi togliamo l'alimentazione a qualche animale, a qualche specie, quindi c'è proprio uno sbilanciamento di certi equilibri. Quindi ogni tanto pensare anche a più grande schema l'impatto dello spreco alimentare. Ecco. Okay.
Esatto. Vorrei ricordare comunque a tutti i ragazzi che Soham è veramente pioniere, bravissimo a comunicare, fa i podcast, fa tantissime cose, quindi ecco, vi invito tantissimo a guardare tutte le cose che fa e trarre la massima ispirazione, perché fa proprio quello che vogliamo fare noi, quindi perché non andare un po' a sbirciare. So I said that
She's advertising you.
Yeah, no, that the aim of this festival, of the project we're doing also with the students, is to raise awareness about these issues, also proposing, positive or showing positive ideas, positive solutions. And this is actually what you do through your podcasts, through your initiatives. So why not copy, but like getting inspiration from you?
No, but if you can copy, I'll be so happy to help, because even in Sweden, I know we helped a few other groups like that wanted to do something similar, because the thing is, for me, I would be very happy if there was something similar in Bologna, in Napoli, in Turin, in Milan, in every single place in Italy, in Sardinia.
Yeah, would be awesome.
So we can start a collaboration.
Exactly.
I'm very happy to. Yeah, very happy to help. Yeah.
So, Soham, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for your speech again, because it was really inspiring. So thank you. And if you do not have other questions from Facebook or from the chat, but I think that we do not have question right now. I just thank you again.
Thank you so much. Grazie mille.
Prego.
Yeah. Ciao, ciao.
See you soon, hope.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye, bye.
Ciao.